Satnam, hello.
Satnam. Satnam.
Hi. Satnam. Oh, there's Ananjeet. Welcome,
yes.
dear. I've been thinking about you. Welcome.
I've been thinking about you, too.
Well, that's how it works. Bless you. Who else is here?
Gooder Simran.
Hi, Gooder Simran. How are you?
Pretty good.
Well, I'm so happy. This breezy weather here is pretty good, huh?
Yeah, but my sinuses are not happy.
Oh, I'm sorry. So who else is here?
Good evening.
Hi, sweetie. How are you?
Hi.
Are you doing well?
Oh, yes, thank you. Very well. How about you?
Good. Thank you.
Good. Great.
And who else is here?
Tomas and Rahmani.
Welcome, Rahmani and Tomas. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
And who else is here? Who else is here? Anybody else? Okay, I hear some clinking of cups or glasses or something. Okay, anybody else? Okay. Hello, who just came on?
Suzanne Smith.
Would you speak a little louder, please?
Suzanne Smith.
Oh, hi, Suzanne. How come we can hardly hear you?
Oh, I don't know, but it sounds really funny to me, too. I think I'll hang up and try again.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. So now, before we get started, I just have to tell you, I have some good news from my side. On my way home, I'm going to go through Yosemite on my way home. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I'm letting you know, in case I have any difficulties getting on the call, okay? So you know what's happening, okay? I will make every effort to be here, but if something happens, you know what. Okay, any questions about that? Okay, so who else is here?
Guru Atma?
Hi, Guru Atma, how are you?
Good.
Good, I'm glad. Okay. So, anybody else? Who else is here?
I'm back on. It was a bad connection.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're here fully with us now.
Thank you.
Oh, and who just came on? Hello? Who else is here? Who hasn't introduced himself? Okay, anybody else? Is Margot here? No, okay. Okay, well, I think we might just as well get started, don't you?
Definitely.
Okay, so please sit straight. Begin long, deep breathing. Sit. Long, deep breathing. Relax at the brow point. Focus and relax at the same time. And continue the long, deep breathing. Allow yourself to go into that space that's produced there. Good. Okay, palms together. And really be conscious of what we're calling into. We're calling into union with the infinite. Protection and guidance. And inhale. Om.
Namo Gurudev Namo
Agare Namah Jagare
Namah Sadguru Namah
Sri Gurudev Namah
Sadguru Namah
Jagare Namah Sadguru Namah Sri Gurudev Namah. Long deep breath. Good. And now please begin heart breath. That is long deep breath, but exhaling, feeling as though you're exhaling from the heart center. Good. Good. Allow that heart center to open. Let any fear drop. Let any murkiness, let it clear up. Good. And now please send this very beautiful energy of heart breath. Send it to everyone who is either on this call at this moment or to anyone who will listen to it in the future. Good. And now, please send your beautiful heart breath, your healing heart breath, to anyone who's suffering, to those dear souls who lost their lives in Boston or who were injured. And please send it also to anybody who is in fear. Allowing the fear to dissolve. Good. Now inhale and exhale. And breathe. Just okay, Baba Siri Chand says, just breathe a little bit. He says that's vital. It's kind of a joke on his part. Breathing is vital. Okay. He says, now when you were breathing, he says, begin to fully feel your heart. Feel it. Just feel it. He says, first of all, can you feel the physical heart? Can you feel your heartbeat? He says, if you need to put your hand on your heart, you can do that. Feel your heartbeat. He says, know the resonance of your heartbeat. be aware of that. He said, now be aware of your heartbeat becoming the clanging bell that tunes in, by its vibratory rate, it tunes in to all what he calls mystic heavens, and also the sheer abundance of the universe. He says, remember, your heartbeat is a clanging bell that is tuning in. He says, now begin to feel that in your whole body. He says your body is a very special earth resonance. He says, let your earth resonance open up. He says you have such a precious little idea that you are separate. He says, no, my sweet ones, you are not separate. You have the illusion of separateness. He says, today we are going to defy that misconception. And I'm asking him, sir, why not just let us carry on in our smallness? He says, why would you want to do that? He says, your whole life, he says the whole direction of your life, especially those of you on the spiritual path, which you all are, he says your whole projection is to realize the universality, the timelessness of who you actually are. Now, he says, who you actually are, he calls it a fig leaf. In other words, who we think we are is a fig leaf that covers, that hides the fact that we are the all in all. He says, are you willing to be your total, pure, naked, he calls it impenetrable self? And I'm going, sir, why do you call it impenetrable? He says, because, he says, when it's all pervasive, he says nothing is kept out, nothing is kept in. It simply is. Allow yourself to be in that situation of is. I am. Seat yourself in it. Suspend yourself in it. He says, please crawl yourself out of any vision that you are small. Crawl yourself out of any idea that you are tormented. That you are without boundaries or that you are with boundaries. He says, in this case, both are irrelevant. Keep up the understanding, keep up the knowing, keep up the awareness. Feel yourself blessed, whatever that is. Whatever a blessing is to your consciousness. Remember, it's not coming from the outside. This blessing is a seeping through from the great consciousness from which you are, from which you arise, to the more limited consciousness that sorts things out. Allow the blessing. He says you are the blessing. Yogi Bhajan, of course, says the other person is you. Well, when you see it from this angle, it's totally obvious. It is not a feeling of being icky. Oh, that other person is me. No. You are also the other person because at your root, at your source, he says the pure, infinite consciousness of you is the one. He says it's frankly so simple it's hard to grasp. But keep up your heart breath, please. And keep up your heart resonance. He says you have been given so many, he calls it fundamental foundations that are lodged in the will of the collective. He says all those things that you have collected from the culture, all of the judgments, all of the goals, all of the directions for a hearty life, for a sweet life, all the longing, all the tears. He says they are given to you because the only way that the infinite of you can feel and express itself is through the finiteness of you. So he suggests that we not feel so alone. In fact, every bit of our life, every bit of our knowing, every bit of our understanding is the pleasure, the joy of the real you, of the infinite you. He says, I'm not saying that what we call the everyday self of you is not real. It certainly is. But the pure source of the consciousness is actually beyond experiencing. And so we come into being as the experiential part of the divine. He says, please adore yourself. Please be grateful to yourself for taking on that service, so to speak. This is acknowledging the short-sighted part of ourselves as the servant of that which is beyond words. We are here to serve, simply being here, experiencing everything that comes through us is a pure serving of the divine. He says in your own body you have, your senses, your eyes, your ears, your feelings, your touch, your movement. He says you are serving the divine by experiencing in your finite self. It is a very special vehicle, a very special occasion. At every second, at every millisecond that you live. He says it is the depth of your knowing, the depth of your hearing, the depth of your awareness that carries you through. He says, in that awareness, you let yourself be very aware that you are serving. Do that now, please. Go way beyond who you thought you were. Go way beyond who you thought you were. He says, in a way, you become the eyesight of the divine for that experience. Realize that your eyesight is divine. Realize that your hearing is that of the divine. The ears of the divine. And so on. He says, understand that you are not cast out of heaven. He says, don't take it so personally. When the time comes, he says, you will find out that you were never cast out, that you never left. And rather, it was your hero's journey that pulled down that blindfold so that you may jump into the finite as that finite aspect of the divine. Do you see you were not deserted? You were serving. You were always present as the divine. He says, these are little clues. These are little clues to who you are. In fact, you were just wearing the mask of smallness. You see, you were using the mask of smallness. You were using the costume of being separate. He says, but now, my dears, you are looking behind the curtain. You are seeing the truth. And he says, the truth will be of no avail to you if you do not allow it, if you stay in your mind judging it. He says, your mind is much too small to understand this. He says, it's a wonderful thing. It can lead you to that, to this knowing, to this experience. He says, but that's what it is. It's like a diving board. It will lead you out over the water, but at some point, you will need to make the jump. A beautiful flying jump into the awareness, the superconsciousness that is the absolute center of neutrality and naturalness. He says, you may talk about your authentic self, but your authentic self goes far beyond this everyday knowing, this everyday naturalness, this everyday awareness. Your authentic self is your true self. It is the infinity. He says, which people describe as being fearsome. He says, but is absolute coziness. He says, follow the stream of absolute coziness. Go back to the ringing of your heart. And allow the absolute coziness within your own heart. He says, if you allow it, you are totally gifted in this manner. Be appreciative of having such an extraordinary gift as your heart, as this knowing. He says, yes, I know. He says, We may often think that we're being waterboarded, that we are being tortured. And so we are if we stay with only the finite avenue of ourselves. If we stay stuck in that, he says, we doom ourselves. No one does it for us. We doom our own selves. He says, you can cry and scream at the God for making you such a victim. He says, that's part of, that's one level of the path. That's up to you. But, he says, if you want to go into the truth of the matter, he says, allow yourself to simply spread out. Allow all of your molecules, all of your frequency vibrations, all aspects of your mind, your emotions. He says, let it deeply spread out into the infinity that we tag as the divine. He says, that's where you live. That is your being. That's what you call your holiness. He says, and the reason why we call people by that title, Your Holiness, is that we acknowledge people whom we believe have made that jump. The jump off the diving board of your mind into what you might call the superconsciousness, the absolute essence of yourself. He says, you may have heard that you are very precious. You may have heard that. However, you may have made certain caveats about that. Oh, maybe I'm precious when I'm holding my grandchildren. Oh, maybe I'm precious when other people acknowledge me as such. He says, no. By your very existence, you are divine. By your very existence, you are precious. He says, please breathe with that now. Breathe with that. Understand that. Know that. Beyond any limits. He says, this is not just your birthright. He said, this is who you are. We're not just making a connection here. We are living in the truth. That pure resonance of truth, that pure awareness, the pure vibrational quality that creates this finiteness. Breathe it, love it, know it. And say, keep up. Sink deeper and deeper into that precious and unendingness that you are. That incredible coziness that you are. Into that impregnable realization that you are you. That can honestly repeat, I am, I am. Keep up the breath, the heart breath. Keep up the experience. Allow the breath. Allow the awareness. Allow the truth of who you are. Do you see that you are such a blessing to the divine, to be that experiencing aspect, of the divine, to give feedback, so to speak. To give feedback of what it means to be created, in creation, experiencing creation. He says you are warriors of creation. You are not victims of creation. He says you are the warrior of the central consciousness that has made itself known on earth for so many lifetimes now. He says you're a tour of duty. He says the end of this tour of duty through 8.4 million lifetimes is in sight. He says, just keep up. Just keep up. On this return trip to total and full consciousness. He says, that's where you're headed now. You have your plane ticket already. He says, dip into the waters of the pure consciousness. He said, at this point, we may not be doing it all the time, or we might be doing it all the time. And he's putting time in quotes because, in fact, time is an illusion. Your very presence is a glorification of what he calls his earth body. Allow yourself to live that glory, to live that knowing, to live that awareness. This is the preciousness of you. And it is a pure gratitude of you as the infinite consciousness to have taken on this costume, its finiteness, for these 8.4 million lifetimes, to be the experiencing aspect of the absolute glory of the infinite divine that is beyond restrictions, beyond names, beyond categorizing. Do you see who you are? Do you see the blessedness of you? He says, do you fall at the feet of your own consciousness? This is the purity, the awareness, the greatness of who you are. He calls it a great theater of worship. A great theater of worship. Know your blessedness. And give every bit of the glory to the Godhead, to the infinity, to the absolute pure consciousness without distinction that is your heart, that is the essence of your soul. He says in the Hindu scriptures, this was called the Brahm, or the Brahman. And all creation flows from it. All differentiation. All molecules, all being. He says, but now understand that as who your essence is, you are all. There's no division anymore. He says, begin to feel that in your bones. He says, you may feel every finite division there is, right down to the vibratory rate, the sound current that is the master creator, the source of this level. He says, and then work your way back to the awe. Work your way back through the chain of creation to peak at the awe which is the absolute substance of you. See the whole chain of vibratory rates. He says this current string theory is pointing to it, but it doesn't have it yet. He says the Rishis, the ancient Indian spiritual scientists, as Amandeep calls them, the spiritual scientists, they understood it, they grasped it, they knew it, they still know it. Now, Babaji is asking you to become your own Rishi, to understand, to experience, to view that whole divine projection and progression. It says, my dears, you have the habit of thinking and knowing yourself as separate, as individual, with connections here and there. Yes, of course. He says, but you are so way beyond that. In truth, you are all connections. There is no separateness. He says this knowledge then allows you to move into total acceptance, allowing that all is you. All is you. In your infinite coming into the finite expression of you, all is you, and that is the pure truth. So understand that your consciousness, in your consciousness, you have the ability to visit all layers, from the most small, hardened, difficult and dark area, through every level of existence of consciousness, through all the vibratory rates of time, through the illusion of time and space, to live in awe at the peak, at peaking at what is beyond, what is the truth, what is the essence, what is the core that we can only allude to. He says, but you may visit all, he says it's like learning an instrument and playing the scales. Each one has its own vibratory rate, which is a sound current. He said, and as you play those scales, he says you begin to understand the harmonies. You begin to understand the harmonies that are laid together from which creation arises. He says it is various harmonies and various dissonances of these vibratory rates that brings creation into existence. And you have that ability. In your meditation, he says, please explore that. He says you must go into your meditative, sensitive self to understand that, to learn that. But if you make the intention, and then you also give your attention in order to learn, he says you will learn. You will learn because you are swimming, so to speak, in the soup of consciousness. Be aware. Be aware. This is you. This is the expression and the guidance and the knowing of you. Make it your study. Be a Rishi. Be the Rishi that you are. He says you would not be on this phone call if you did not have that direction, that proclivity, that ability. He says that's just where you are in the continuum of these 8.4 million lifetimes. Doesn't mean being high or low. It just simply means that's where we are. So discover, know, feel it in every corpuscle of your being. Good. Now feel the experience. And inhale. And exhale. And he says, and now, please, he says, bringing this union of consciousness, bringing it to the fore, he says, please share it. He says, you can't imagine how important this is, that you share it. So important. He says, this is part of your study mechanism. He says, okay, now who is going to share? I'm going to tell you who's going to share their experience.
I can share.
Yes, who is this?
This is Carol in Juneau.
Oh, welcome, Carol.
Hi. As I went through the meditation and became a resonance with my heart breath, I felt a different dimension. I can't even say what, different dimensions of meditation that I've probably, rarely experienced before, but I was watching this time and trying to remember what was going on. And then as much as I tried to just stay in the meditative state, I kept being drugged through, well, not drugged through, but taken through some situations in my life that need little solutions to them. They're nothing big. They're not going to stop me from enjoying my day or smiling, or they're not going to make me really worried. They're just going to say, oh, we need to do something about this situation. So, and very quickly than ever before, boom, I was through all of them. And then I was like, oh, now I'm just resonating again. This is wonderful. So that was my experience.
How delightful, dear. It's really something to cherish, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
And how quick and with what ease you did that. Right?
Yes. Complete ease.
Wonderful. Okay, so you're playing your scales here, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now, who else can share? Can someone else share? Okay. So now, Suzanne, can you share? Star 6?
I'm here. Can you hear me? Okay. I was very distracted during this meditation.
Oh.
So I can't say it was. I have to go back and listen to it again to settle with it.
Okay.
But I did. Oh, it's so unusual. I looked up the starry material that I'm sewing on. I looked up what would the purpose be, because they have colors and purposes for them. And this would be for a Brahmin wedding and
nice.
for a priestess. And I would never have made any. I just thought it was so neat that Baba Siri Chand mentioned Brahman. And I have so much to listen to and understand about that, but it was a connection I made.
Oh, wonderful. And if people don't know, Suzanne's daughter is getting married in May, right?
Yes.
And are you sewing on your dress or?
This is my dress, yes. But the material is pretty special, and I just think I'm getting to understand the weight of how special it is. Yeah.
So it's more like a priestess garment. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's what it says when you look it up. Yep.
Wonderful. Are you accepting yourself as that?
I'm having a hard time with it. Yes, I'm having a hard time with it.
Why?
Worthiness, probably.
Well, okay. He says that, in fact, my dear, there's no question of worthiness or unworthiness. It's just a fact of relaxing into the fact. A priestess is one who brings these dimensions together. In other words, so that they may be accepted and dispersed and shared with others. Are you doing that?
I'm working on it. Yes,
okay.
I'm doing that.
How would you like to start out with a mantra that says, I allow it?
Okay.
Would that work?
All right. I will do that.
Oh, fabulous. God bless you, dear. What a wonderful advances and transformations that you're having with this.
It feels like that. It feels it.
Good. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Who else can share?
Hi.
Oh,
Sorry.
Ananti?
Yes.
Yes. I can't hear you too well, so come a little closer to the phone.
Okay.
Good.
I've been paddling along, not doing, I guess I'll call it my program as much as I should. And I paddled into this place where I've got rooms for rent, I've got my money's up against the wall, and then my biggest fear is, oops, I could lose my home, I am shoving it into my face. Really need to talk to you and Baba Siri Chand. But this was a very good interlude. I was thinking about you at 11 o'clock, and then I said, oh, it's 11 o'clock on Wednesday morning. Okay, I'm going to tune in for the conference call.
Oh, good.
And help.
And so you're with us.
Yeah, I'm just, probably the biggest fear I have is I will end up homeless in front of a 55-gallon gas can on the corner. So this morning it was looking me in the face, and so I'd say that's just about the biggest fear I've got.
Okay, can you relax into it?
Yeah, I can see that gas can quite clearly.
Okay, I'm not saying accept it. I'm saying relax. Do you understand it?
Yes.
Okay, so just breathe a minute. Everybody do heart breath with Ananji. And be in that space of openness, of absolute neutrality that allows all creation to move through it. Total allowing. Okay, let it affect her heart. And the opening and the blessing. So the two are you are rooted in the reality that we call this everyday reality, and you are totally rooted into the infinite aspect. Again, living on the scales. Playing the scales of creation. Having the intention of being supported, but letting it all go. Letting it all go back to this very divine. Absolutely huge. And he's calling it impulsive. He says, yes, all of creation is impulsive, according to the consciousness. And that's the reason why it's so important to not get locked in the fear. Neither controlling nor being controlled, being present. Opening. Good. Okay, keep up that intention, dear. Keep up that openness. Keep up that openness, and then just email. Let me know what's going on, okay? But do your best. Use your mantra and stay in that. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have an appointment open for Saturday? For talk?
I probably do. Email me, okay?
Okay. All right.
Be good.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So who else can share? We have just a few more minutes. Who else can share?
I can share, Siri Gian. This is good to be.
Yes, dear.
This is just so beautiful, that pulsation of universal consciousness was so present through the whole talk.
Oh, good.
And when Baba Siri Chand said, dip into the waters of pure consciousness, it brought me to, I've had a couple of meditations this week that have just been very different. And I sat with different intentions, but they, shifted on their own. And when those words were spoken, it's like that's what it was. It was dipping into those waters. And it was the pulsation in the heart, and then it was my heart opening, and everyone began flying into the heart center, and it just felt expansive, and that just moved in from that expansiveness into the pulsation.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been called to play the gong throughout the day. It's not just sit down and play it and then sit down again and play it. It's like every time I walk by the gong, it's like it's calling me to play it.
Wow.
Or to let it play me, rather, not me play it.
Oh, extraordinary.
But it's been really, it's been an extraordinary time.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a big shift, and with my mind, of course, I can't link everything together, but it felt like things were being linked together on this call.
Mm-hmm. Good. And he says you're a very big part of this. He says you are basically living your destiny, which is living as the consciousness. And then the consciousness does play through you. He's very grateful for that.
I'm supreme gratitude. It's so much gratitude. It's just incredible.
Wonderful.
So thank you so much.
And thank you, dear. We really appreciate it. We appreciate what you're doing there. What you're being there. That's more like it. What you're being there. Okay. Anantji?
Yes?
Baba Siri Chand is saying, please turn on the miracle mantra, which is Dun Dun Ramdas Guru. And he says, please play that night and day. And it's actually on my site at soulanswer.com/miracle_mantra.html. He says everybody can do it. Everybody is worthy of a miracle. Okay? Okay. Everybody's worthy of the miracle. We're with you, dear.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hey, Siri Gian. This is Norma from Boston.
Hi, Norma. Welcome. Have you been on the call before?
Yes, but I've been listening in the background. But I wanted to ask for some special heart breaths this week from everyone in this beautiful group because of what happened in Boston, the bombings last Monday. And, if I can also, get some special heart breath. One of our students here at Boston University was killed.
Oh, my God.
So if kindly thank you for all the special group heart breath.
Okay, let's do it now. Really open your hearts. Open your hearts for all of those who were killed or injured, and everyone who is deeply affected. As you do it, feel the intention the understanding that you are the one that we just talked about. Be in that area of consciousness. Allowing such a support, such a divine, how can you say, opening to consciousness, to those levels, to those Good. And please continue your heart breath. Please continue your heart breath for all who've been affected in Boston, all who've been affected across the world by this, and also for Anantji's intention. After all, we're one. Okay. God bless you all.
Thank you.
What a privilege to be with every one of you. God bless you. Okay, so let's sit straight and sing this beautiful song to one another. And thank you, Norma, for bringing all of that to our attention more.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Sit straight, please. And sing this to one another. Sing it to yourself. Inhale. May the long time sun shine upon you. all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. Guide your way on. Guide your way on. Inhale. And bow to this beautiful, infinite coziness that you are. God bless you all, and talk to you next week. I'm counting on it. We'll see. God bless you.
Satnam.
Satnam.
Thank you.
Satnam.